All right, let's talk about Ron Johnson.
Oh,
This
the
guy.
smartest senator in the world?
This guy is unbelievable. I mean, he has gone all in
Yeah.
on
He
this
wants
is
to be
one of
the Trumpiest senator. I mean, going into what he's up in 2022, right?
yep. This is
Yeah.
one of those moments where you wonder, like, does he know that he's on air now? The Joey Pags show, I've talked about this. Joe Pagliatti, I think his name is. I occasionally listen to the show on the weekend. This guy is you know, a middling talk radio host who just has a great radio voice, but also just a full on willingness to be completely ignorant as to what the truth is about things. I don't think that's relevant in this instance, but I just felt like I had to say it. Here is Ron Johnson explaining why he was not afraid of the riot, the assault, the insurrection, whatever you want to call it, in the Capitol, where incidentally, two people have been arrested and charged with assaulting Ryan Sicknick, who is the Capitol police officer who died after the attack. Still unclear what the cause of his death was. But here is Ron Johnson just on Friday explaining to Joey Pags why it didn't bother him.
White supremacists, they don't really believe that, but they know there's a percentage of those that they're telling that will believe it. That's really the game, right? I mean, there's no way people that you go to work with every day really think that you and I are white supremacists because we believe in conservative values, right?
Well, no, and let's face it, I'm also criticized because I've made the comment that on January 6th, I never felt threatened, because I didn't. And mainly because I knew that even though those thousands of people there were marching to the Capitol were trying to pressure people like me to vote the way they wanted me to vote, I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, Joe, this get me in trouble.
All right, pause it for 1 second. I want to hear this part that's going to get him in trouble. Is this guy not aware that there's been hundreds, literally hundreds of arrests, ranging from assault of police officers to damaging property in the Capitol? Like, is he not aware that there have been legal charges brought against these people?
Yeah, well, I mean, for some reason, the Capitol Police don't matter in terms of the empathy that's expressed and espoused by Republicans and the Blue Lives Matter crap. But then they're going to go after Black Lives Matter because he just wants to do the most obvious pivot whataboutism that's possible.
I mean, put aside that pivot. Like, he's just denying the reality of what was in there.
Well, the way that he has to search for a word and lands on marching the Capitol, they were marching the Capitol. Like, well, that's not a thing you do.
They were in a conga line. They were in a conga line, just, having a grand old time.
All right. Brendan, back it up a little bit so that people can hear him, like, sort of talk about marching. And of course, incidentally, some of the people they have arrested are full on, like, full on white supremacists who, like, one guy at work, everyone who worked with him was like, yeah, God, the guy was just like full on racist, full on racist and full on anti-Semite. But let's hear Ron Johnson. Let's see if we can get some more volume on that.
Trying to pressure people like me to vote the way they wanted me to vote. I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this get me in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Wow. It's a big statement, but it's a true statement. We see the recent history.
Well, and let's face it, people didn't board up their storefronts in metropolitan areas in case Joe Biden won. And now you take a look at what's happening in Minneapolis with the trial.
I mean,
what was that last part? Well, it was hard for me to hear. He said that they boarded up
he said people didn't board up their shops because they were afraid that Joe Biden would win. But maybe they should have boarded up the Capitol, afraid that Joe Biden should have won. A, and B, I got news for you. Donald Trump was the president, and you didn't see any BLM protesters come in and
Storm
attack
the
the
Capitol. Yeah.
And he's also sitting there going like, and it was perfectly justified for people who are not white guys like me to be terrified. I mean, that's the other implication of what he's saying.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, these were my shock troops that were coming in there. So of course I wasn't afraid. I mean, why do you think I'm even here, Joey?
I was on the side of Donald Trump.
I'm here, Joey, to make sure they don't come after me again. Like I'm not going to be a traitor. I saw what they were trying to do with Mike Pence. What do you think I'm doing here for? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how Ron Johnson wins re-election, but we'll see. Man, oh man. Meanwhile, so Ron Johnson says that, well, if there were BLM protesters coming into the Capitol, I'd be afraid. But I wasn't afraid because there were a bunch of white protesters, and I knew that they had my back. Well, John Barrasso was asked about this on George Stephanopoulos, ABC this week. Let's see what he said.
Your colleague Ron Johnson of Wisconsin has stirred up controversy with remarks about the Capitol riots and Black Lives Matters protests. I want to show them.
I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
I should point out that the overwhelming majority of BLM protests, more than 90%, were peaceful. Democrats are calling on Senator Johnson to resign. Do you agree with those comments? Should he apologize?
Well, you take a look. You talk about peaceful protests. Look what's happened in Portland just the other night. These things continue. We need to get back to a nation and a state where the razor wire can come down, the fences can come down, people can get back to Washington and the Capitol. We need to move the country forward, and that's, to me, the best way that we ought to go.
So should he apologize?
Well, he's going to speak for himself. You know this, George. You spent time on the Hill. Every member speaks for themselves, and I'm telling you what I believe.
Senator Barrasso, thanks for your time this morning.
No, you didn't really tell us what you believed about that.
No, he danced around it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is, it's really stunning. Meanwhile, Portland Police Department detained 100 people on those protests on Friday night. It happened within moments. The number of people who protested in BLM protests over the course of the summer just dwarfs the number of those marching on January 6th, and then ultimately creating all sorts of violence, leaving 5 dead, dozens injured.
I mean, and what these whataboutisms do too is they sap either context of the event, the substance of the event, of their meaning, and that's what it's designed to do too, which is one group of people stormed the Capitol in order to take over the United States government based on conspiracy theories about an election being stolen that didn't happen, and the other protests were in response to state-sponsored murder and were civil rights protests. Like they choose to kind of throw these things out there because when you muddy the waters enough, you're not talking about the substance behind either incidents in the case of Black Lives Matter protests.
Ron Johnson also blamed Antifa as the people who were the ones who stormed the
right
initially. Like, make up your mind, man.
Right. I mean, I thought you'd be afraid if they were Antifa.